Welcome to Herd Immunity News. My name is Marcus Botzer. Today I have a fantastic guest back onto our platform. It's Mr. Dave Atherton. Many of you will know who this man is, but for those of you tuning in for the first time, Dave is a political commentator and he has one of the most popular websites, one of the most popular Twitter pages in the United Kingdom right now as an independent journalist. He's always fantastic fun, and even though the shit is hitting the fan in the UK right now, we have a little bit of a laugh along the way, despite everything. It's the true British stiff upper lip attitude. Without further ado, Dave, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, and thanks a lot for inviting me back on the show again.
Always great to have you on. And there's so much to discuss. I mean, right now in the UK, the elephant in the room, or the communist in the room, is Keir Starmer.
Sure.
What we have right now is something that I've never seen in my lifetime, and it's a destruction of so many industries, an attack on so many different groups, all at the same time. And without going through a laundry list of them right now, we can just crystallise it when we cast our mind back to the interview between Keir Starmer and Emily Maitlis and his comments on Davos. He believes that he can get more done in Davos than he can in Parliament. And
I think he said he preferred it, didn't he? Or,
exactly. He did say he preferred it because he could get more done. He said Westminster was just full of a lot of people shouting, which at least he's been honest about one thing. And it's about that. It's a globalist agenda. We see it's almost akin to the 10 planks of Marxism, where you're getting rid of all private enterprise, under state control. Inheritance is a big part of that. Farming's a huge part of that. Making a poverty class that are completely controlled because they're dependent on the state teat. Over to you, Dave.
Yes. Well, yeah, I know it's one of those where it would pick up the thread of the conversations on this one. You have to say that the analogies between Stalin's purges against the kulaks, the landowning classes in Russia from the Soviet Union from 1928 to 1940. Funnily enough, I was reading up on this today. But they reckon the privatisation of the farms. There was a massive famine in 1932-33. Led to the deaths of 12 million people. As people who weren't farmers, people didn't have the profit motive, could be bothered to farm the farms properly. There was a massive decline in output in wheat and grain, and also the amount of animals that were kept because basically they were slaughtered. You're hungry, you're going to slaughter some of the things. And of course there was the Holodomor in the Ukraine, whereby Stalin deliberately targeted the Ukrainians. It's considered to be a genocide by most people's standards, and 3 to 5 million people died of starvation during that time. This is what happens when you give power to the state. The victims are always the people. The people always become poorer as a result, and the whole of everybody else becomes, again, far worse off than they were before. This is just sixth form theory debating type thought that just doesn't work in the real world. When Rachel Reeves said her qualifications for being chancellor, with the fact she had a philosophy, politics, and economics degree from Oxford, and she worked at the Bank of England for 10 years. Apparently, it's really 3.5. And when she was there, she was a junior Japanese analyst as well. Good heavens. I tell you what, I worked in recruitment for 36 years. If someone had put their CV on my desk with that many of discrepancies, I would have said, look, I don't want to deal with you. I don't think you're a person who can be trusted. And really, I think it really should be a matter of time when Rachel Reeves goes. Tomorrow would be a good day. But I got a funny feeling she may limp on for another week or two, or maybe even a month. But the Porkies are just so appallingly bad. No, she really has to go. But yes, the conspiracy theory behind the attack on farms is simply that we'll have to import a lot more, and the government can control that. But if you go down to your farm shop, or go to your farmer's market, in a city or a town or whatever, you can buy directly from the farmers, and I wish I could spend a bit more time like that, buying produce like that and supporting farmers, because it's going to annoy the state, and that's not what they want from you. And let's sum it up. The people who are going to buy these farms are going to be sort of people like Bill Gates, investment management companies. They're the people who can afford to do it and make a profit out of it. And and they're going to concrete it over, for illegal migrants. They're going to put solar panels in there. It sounds absolutely horrible. The farmers I was chatting to yesterday said, look, I want the countryside to remain the countryside, not some horrible green splurge of solar panels and wind farms, which I thoroughly agree with. And as I say, I'll just finish off on this particular sector by saying, when you have collaboration of big government with big companies, it's called fascism. And that is how Mussolini ruled Italy, and to a certain extent Adolf Hitler in Germany. Now these people are, we all know Hitler really was a socialist, but the other side of the coin, though, is whether it's Marxism, whether it's fascism, it's all exactly the same extremist politics where the poor suffer the most.
Well said on all of that. And may I just touch on the regulations that they've brought in for chicken ownership? Anyone that owns a chicken in the UK, I know June Slater had registered 2 chickens she bought out of the fresh food department in Sainsbury's.
I'm sure.
Which was funny. I mean, you had to laugh, but every single animal is going to be regulated. The big plan before the budget was to sit down with Bill Gates, Larry Fink from BlackRock. Bill Gates is the largest single landowner in the United States. As you know, he bought it all up with his fortunes. And he is a component, and a champion, I should say, of synthetic beef. Keir Starmer being a vegetarian, so he says he probably has a Cumberland sausage or two when he's at Lord Ali's flat, if you know what I mean.
Matron.
Yeah, he probably batters a Savoy round Camden or Soho somewhere, allegedly. But the sinister side of this is that these people do want to move to synthetics. Bill Gates, let's not forget, Dave, this is where you might say I've got a tinfoil hat on. Bill Gates was one of the largest proponents, without having any medical qualifications, of the COVID-19 jab. Subsequently, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people either dead or damaged beyond repair because of these trial meds. Doesn't it alarm you and worry you that Starmer is getting into bed with people like this?
Well, this is the whole point. Surely Gates should be persona non grata. What he's why he's allowed back in polite society, I've got no idea. And by the way, all this sense, I got no, if it tastes all right, I've got no objections to eating synthetic meat at all. I've got no objections to it. But first of all, I don't want it rammed down my throat. I still want the choice of eating the meat of my choice. But the goodish news, if you call it goodish news, is that 2 synthetic factories in America have lost their funding from angel investors, and apparently the cost of producing synthetic meat is 25 times that it is of animals raised in the field. And also, as well, it's 10 times less green because the amount of energy you need to use to produce synthetic meat is that bad, So, it's absolute hypocrisy, isn't it? It's you really hate going down the rabbit hole, and and you're thinking, well, this is a conspiracy theory, they want to kill us all type stuff. But again, this is all about control of us, control of the land. So obviously, if you make synthetic meat, you're going to need less farmland. You know, and I really don't want it built over, concreted over, especially for illegal migrants. That really is the ultimate insult to this country. But yeah, I think synthetic meat, like a lot of things, will be heading west. And you have to say that the future looks bright, the future looks orange, with Donald Trump in charge. Oh, by the way, have you seen what old Javier Milei's been up to in Argentina?
Yes, he's having a bonfire of the public sector.
Yeah. No, he's got inflation down from, what was it, 2,000% to 2.7% now? Ours went up to 2.3 today. So thanks to like Ed Miliband, because the price of energy's gone up again. We got the most expensive energy in the bloody world here, bar nobody. Americans pay half the price. My brother's got a 6-bedroom detached house, and his gas and electricity bill per month is $100. What's that? 70 quid? And that's gas and electric. So because they frack. Despite all of Joe Biden's tepid attitude to fossil fuels, nevertheless, it's a lot cheaper. They do use a lot of fossil fuels as part of their power. And as a result, they pay virtually nothing. If there's one thing you want to boost an economy by, is reducing the cost of power. Whether it's take a couple of pence off petrol or massively reducing electricity and gas bill, that is the way to go.
Absolutely. And just to touch on something that you said there about the conspiracy theory and people dying and genocide. By Labour's own report, 4,000 elderly people will die with the winter fuel allowance cuts. Now they've doubled down on that and they're sticking to their guns. This mythical mantra that you hear about the 22 billion black hole, which has been completely debunked by the Office of Budget Responsibility, by the Bank of England, and by many within the Labour Party themselves. Dave, please don't tell me that you think Keir Starmer will bat an eyelid or shed a tear for a single elderly person that dies of hypothermia this winter.
Sure. No, I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion that to become a prime minister of Britain, you have to be a sociopath, and so, you have to be.
I agree. I think to become an MP, you have to be a sociopath.
Yeah, and of course, and the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath can be fairly marginal, should we say, to say the least. You think about it. If you were prime minister, even in 1939, should we say, where you have a cause, or Falklands in 1982, when you have a cause that you are correct in, and you're 99% right, and and righteousness is with you. Could you imagine being the person in charge of sending people into battle, knowing they're going to die? And been out of sleep at night, about that. I think Baroness Thatcher, did have sleepless nights, and she shed tears over the deaths in the Falklands. But I think with
Starmer.
Yes, Stalin. Yeah, sorry.
Stalin.
Stalin. I think he's crossed the threshold to psychopath. The very fact that the Britain's budget in this country in 2020, 23, 24, the British government will spend £1.227 billion, and the cost of the heating was 1.3. Is that 1%?
Yeah,
off the cuff. And when you bear in mind, as Jeremy Clarkson said in an interview with Victoria Derbyshire of the BBC, where would you get the money from? If I were, he said he would go into every building around Whitehall. If he doesn't understand what job they do, they'd be fired, which is exactly what Javier Milei's done, in Argentina. There is so much waste. There is so much incompetence. There is so much uselessness about our civil service and government in this country. I think HS2 has cost £100 billion so far, and all we've got so far is rich people in London can get to Birmingham 10 minutes earlier. That's all that's happened. Monumental, waste of money. Monumental. How are so many foreign people being able to claim universal credit? If you're a foreign national, you should be entitled to nothing. What is going on here? I think the cost of foreigners is 6.8 billion on our welfare bill. These people should be deported. They shouldn't be given money. It is a sign of the weakness and patheticness, and how much the global agenda and woke ideals have infected every nook and cranny of the establishment of this country. It's absolutely disgusting, and I really do object to it. And it's the pensioners who pay.
But you say it's incompetence. Sorry to differ with you there, sir. I would say they know exactly what they're doing. These people are not stupid. These people are purposefully destroying the lives of Brits in this country, and the 4,000 they know. They've got the evidence in front of them.
Sure.
It's by their own report. They know these people are going to die. But as yet you say the money that goes to Africa, the foreign aid budget, the 7 billion we spend on illegals, the money we send to Ukraine, none of that can be sliced off. I mean, you're talking about tiny sums of money. 2 billion, and you could pay all the pensioners their winter fuel allowance and keep the farmers going and scrap the inheritance tax. 2 billion is nothing. So these people know what they're doing. And then the narrative is that they're just elites from Islington down Portobello Road. They think this is all cool. They are more sinister than that. I think it's letting them off the hook. We should call them out for who they are and what they are. It's malcontents in this country, and they're traitors. Is that fair?
No, I do take your point. Perhaps I'm being more than over generous to our friends.
Such a nice man, Dave.
Far too generous towards them. I'm just having, you can guarantee that when it comes to pensioners and when it comes to the farmers, are basically broadly Tory capitalist type people. They probably resent them to a greater extent. I think something like 2/3 of pensioners vote Conservative at the next election. Maybe it's their way of killing some of them off, so they can maintain their majority at the next election.
Okay.
I think petty and vicious and nasty. I think it does sum up their attitude towards those people as well.
Well, they're deadly in our book. They're deadly. But let's move on to the next subject, because this is a very interesting one on the right of politics right now. Is Nigel Farage and his comments about deportations. We can put that to one side and come back to it. But it was his comments recently in an interview where he said that we have to get used to the Islamification of the United Kingdom and work with them, for them, and to their benefit. And obviously people will point to the fact that Mohamed Yusuf, to give him his right name, his real name, not Zia, it's Mohamed, right?
Yeah.
The new chairman of this organisation has almost made reform unrecognisable. Now, Nigel seems to have completely lost the plot on this. Or is he correct in that we should get used to the Islamification of the UK?
I found his messages to be confusing, if not disconcerting. I appreciate he can't go on the attack and say we want a full confrontation with the Muslim community and we want them all deported. Politically, he can't really say that. He may alienate some people. He may get the opprobrium from all the various corners. But to actually go and say we have to accommodate them and include them in our plans, I'm a little bit worried about that, actually. A little bit worried, and I'm looking for a bit of clarification on it. I think with when he had that interview with William, what's his name, from Mumford and Son, or wherever he was, the ex-banjo player. He may have been on his guard because there might be sort of kind of a more liberal audience listening to it. But from what I've seen, what I've read, what I've observed, generally speaking, there is no appeasement with militant. Well, certainly there's no appeasement with militant Islam. It is a binary position, whereby either they chop your head off, metaphorically speaking, or metaphorically you chop their head off. There's no sort of meeting halfway and having a powwow and let's sort things out like gentlemen. No, it is literally a black and white situation. You either lose or you win. And the only thing that frankly large elements of the Muslim community understand is force. They don't understand reason. And also I've got a funny feeling as well. Even if we did come to some arrangement or agreement, I've got a funny feeling they wouldn't stick to it to the letter of the spirit either. That's my overwhelming impression.
Well,
Go on.
yeah, sorry, the interview he had with William Marshall, as you correctly said, the banjo player from Mumford and Sons, I think he got into a lot of shit for saying all lives matter. That's the chap, isn't it? He said it on stage during the BLM riots. He said, he had the audacity to say that white lives matter as well. Terrible. But anyway, the problem is that for many of us, the way to unify the UK is to get everybody to be patriotic towards this country. In America, they have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Obviously, you can opt out in certain states with parental consent, but we don't have anything like that. Can you imagine if Nigel and Reform said that we believe there should be a Union Jack in every mosque in this country? We want to welcome the Muslim population. We want to welcome everybody, but you must be part of our culture. You must be part of our traditions. You must abide by them. Is that not the angle that you should have come at, rather than say we have to bend to their rules?
Sure. Well, it's obviously Islamophobia Awareness Month. Let me just take one step back and give a little bit of balance, if I can.
Please.
And this totally mystifies me. There was a poll done of Muslims in 2016, published by Channel 4 News. And the usual nasties in there. 52% of British Muslims want homosexuality made illegal and punishable by the law, and 47% said that an LGBT person should not be teaching children, and 39% believe that a woman should always obey her man at all times, and that was equal among the sexes as well, apparently, from what I read. But the outliers were that they were asked what they liked most about Britain. And, 94% said they liked the way that they were free to follow their religion without any let or hindrance from the state or other religions or generally the people, And, which I look upon that as a nod to the Enlightenment, that, I'll mind your business if you mind yours, sort of thing. And the other one was 86% said they were proud to be British. No, I can never quite work that one out. 86%, identified as being British and brown, basically British. So where is the balance here? Should we strive to be, to hold an olive branch out and, and include them as much as we can? Should we, attempt to do that? Because it seems to me, again, we have a binary situation. We're either very liberal about it, or we're very sort of, reactionary about it. Personally speaking, I'd be a little bit more aggressive, should we say, in this situation. What I would do would be, I'd certainly deport all the illegal immigrants. I think on Saturday afternoons, all those nasty little pro-Palestinian supporters, anyone demonstrating there should be hauled out, stuck in a jail, and have the student visas revoked, and any other visa they got revoked. And if they're a permanent resident, that's taken away, and they should be deported. And if they're dual national, they should go as well. Now, these people do not fit into our country. They do not fit into our culture. They are complete antithesis of the Enlightenment and Western liberal democracy and free speech and what have you. And they're nasty Islamo-fascist bigots. Lots of them, not all of them, but there's a substantial minority at least. And they have to go. There's a phrase I learned about 45 years ago. Those who won't learn have to be taught. And these people need to be taught. I'm sorry, you come to our country. we have basic expectations, if you want me to say what is Britain about, I would say free speech. And once you say those two words, everything else can be sort of encompassed in and around it and included into what we're going on here. But of course, free speech, is not Islam's, long suit. The whole point about Islamophobia Awareness Month and the all-party parliamentary group's definition of Islamophobia, where even anything you say, if it's perceived as being Islamophobic, is Islamophobic. So if you want to state the Al-Bukhari Hadith, number 5381, where it confirms that Mohammed consummated his marriage to Aisha at the age of 9, and she was 9, that would be considered to be Islamophobic. If you quoted the Quran 434, where women are the property of a man, a wife is the property of a man, and also as well, should they show dissent towards a husband, they can be physically beaten. 424 justifies the sexual ravishing, shall we say, of non-Muslim captives from battle. All these things. Is that Islamophobia? Is that just telling it how it is? And this is the whole point about Islamophobia awareness. It's not it's about closing down free speech and closing down any negative opinion of an ideology which covers both secular and religious doctrines. Islam, like Christianity, like Parliament. The whole idea is to criticise it to make it better. But of course, the snowflakes, many snowflakes, many in the Islamic world, can't bear it. They are just bigots.
The problem is the assimilation. When you come to another country, as far as I can see throughout Europe, there isn't an example to look at where the Islamification has worked. In fact, it's the opposite. It's only caused tensions, violence, criminality, and only negative things. Now, in America, of course, as I was touching on, there is national pride. There is a sense of patriotism with the Pledge of Allegiance, all the matches, all the games, the American football, the NFL, the baseball, basketball. People stand to the national anthem. We don't ever hear that here. That doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. Churches are being put to the sword at an alarming rate, whether it's the Muslim faith is overtaking. You saw it in the last general election. 5 MPs were elected on an Islamist stance. Now, I think the problem that a lot of people would have had with Nigel is that he is taking the knee to the growing Islamic cohorts in this country that are not just existing cheek and jowl with the rest of us, Dave. They're actually at odds with our lifestyle, and they've infiltrated and penetrated and got themselves hooked in with the socialists, the Marxists, the communists. At these demonstrations, the counter demonstrations, they all just seem to be in one gigantic blob.
Indeed, take your cue from Iran when the Shah was deposed by the mad mullahs. And by the way, the people who orchestrated that was Britain, France, and America. Disgusting thing to do. They regretted it very soon afterwards. Anyway, the mad mullahs took over Iran, and they did it in association with the socialists of Iran. And 3 years later, when the mad mullahs believed they were in control of the levers of power, they went out systematically. It was actually 2 years after, it was 81-84. They systematically went out and summarily executed every single leftist that had any influence in the country. If I live long enough to see the Islamification of Britain, and I see Owen Jones being put up against the wall, don't say I didn't warn you, young man. So Jeremy Corbyn probably would go exactly the same way as well. With the Islamist take over. I think the left are militant Islams and Hamas's useful idiots, and they will pay a price for it. I just really think just one day they will wake up and smell
case for Palestine.
Yeah, Exactly. Yeah. You know. And,
I mean, yeah, it shows you that these maybe not have thought it through, but we have an ongoing case at the moment that we won't speak about too much. Oh, we have several cases going on that we can't talk about too much. And we can say so much, but just get your views and your thoughts on how the private prosecution of those two thugs at Manchester Airport who beat up a couple of female police officers, broke their nose and hospitalised them. Obviously, Richard Tice, Nigel Farage and Reform are holding a private prosecution. They've sent the documents in with the prospect of getting these guys done for serious injury and crime. So how do you think this is going to pan out? Do you think it was a good move?
I think that's a spot of genius from Reform, to be perfectly honest. It really is quite an impressive piece of thinking. Talk about totally embarrassing. Talk about totally embarrassing the Crown Prosecution Service and the Labour Party. And is it Shabana? What's her face?
Shabana Mahmood and Yvette Cooper.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I really don't know what the thinking is behind at the CPS. To my mind, apparently, at a prima facie look at the evidence, it's fairly obvious what's gone on, and you can guarantee if it was two Muslim officers and two white boys who attacked them, that their feet wouldn't have touched the ground, and they'd probably be doing 5 years in strange ways as we speak. So I just can't understand it. The only real reason I can think of, is, do you remember we'll go back to the Southport riots? And remember that sort of the Muslim police, well, I presume Muslim police officer, certainly Asian police officer, he told the lads to take their machetes and
take them back to the mosque.
Yeah, baseball bats back to the mosque. I get the impression what the government fears is that if they are prosecuted and they're banged up for a reasonable amount of time, that's probably a year, 2 years, I should imagine, looking at it. There's little or no provocation or justification for doing that, particularly in an area, secure area of the airport, and the officers are armed. The only thing I can think of is the establishment of this country are scared of riots and civil unrest should they be prosecuted. That's the only reason I can think of it. Think of the reason for it. Which means, say, we have the ultimate in two-tier justice and two-tier police in this country, whereby physical intimidation and fear is a tactic used by certain aspects of the Muslim community, and even the police are too damn scared to do anything about it, just in case there is a reaction to it. Now, I don't know whether CPS is being leaned on by Labour, quite possibly, but that's not the point. A crime has, I think a relatively serious crime has so far gone unpunished.
Well, Starmer said that he expects the judiciary to push for the strongest possible sentences. He had a direct influence. That's not his job to do that. He has no right whatsoever. He's asking Leslie Hoyle to direct Parliament into removing parliamentary privilege to talk about the Southport case. So on one hand, he can't turn around and say, sorry, I don't want you to speak about this case, but then he's jeopardising the outcome of the cases for people like Peter Lynch. God rest them.
Absolutely.
From our contacts that are followers of yours in the judiciary, they tell us that the majority of prisons are Muslim run. The majority of prisons have imams in them. They have religious ceremonies. They have mosques. Now, we have a report. It's quite a nice little segue onto the alleged murderer of 3 little girls in Southport. We have to say alleged, don't we, Dave?
So, we do indeed, because we have to assume Axel Rudder, what's his face, is Rudder Khan, or whatever his name is. Yeah. We have to presume he's innocent until he's convicted.
AR. Let's just call him AR.
Yeah.
Even though there are doubts about that name and other things, but we can't speak about them. But there are doubts about his character and who he is and where he's from.
Sure.
However, there are reports that are out in the social media, and they're creeping out into the mainstream media, that the accused is going to now it'll be very careful, religious worship that may be aligned with people that would download a Al-Qaeda terrorist manual.
Of course. I don't think I could have put it more delicately myself on this example. Yes, I know. So it's been rumoured, and so our contacts via Tommy Robinson have informed us. You know, I wonder what was that the real reason he was moved out of Belmarsh prison? You know,
Well,
because he was promised he wasn't going to be moved from there.
That's right.
For his own safety, but they reneged on that. Because of that, is that the real reason that Tommy's been moved to a different prison? Stop him stirring around about.
Surely the authorities wouldn't put Tommy Robinson in harm's way.
Oh, perish the thought!
Yes.
You know, the biggest headache the government has when it comes to the reaction of Islamofascism, you know, and probably the most successful reaction to it. You know, of course, if he was out of the way, you know, it would be all sweetness and light for them, you know, for the rest of eternity.
Oh my God!
So.
But you know, if they're worried about riots on the streets, Dave, can you imagine if Tommy Robinson, heaven forbid this happened, but if Tommy Robinson was murdered in jail and it actually was at the hands of one of these so-called extremists from a certain religion, can you imagine the backlash?
Well, that's the other risk, isn't it? You know, is it a case of do they wear it on the chin for the sake of long-term gain, or do they sort of think, well, you know, this could be a major short-term, it could be a major short-term loss to their means of silencing by and they're paying the price now, and but in the future things will level,
sure.
Will be level.
4 years time. Out. It's just like Tommy who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, it's as I said it before, I'll say it again. The major problem here is this is just how useless the government is. It's so frustrating.
Useless or traitorous.
Yeah, I know exactly. No, they don't want to deal with the primary problem of this country. You know, in this sort of political scenario, the primary problem being militant Islam. That's the primary problem. You know, out of 100 terrorist murders in this country since 2000, 97 have been committed by Muslims. 90% of people on the MI5's terrorist watch list are Muslims. 5% far left, 5% far right, and they don't want to deal with that. You know, I just think probably the backlash from the Muslim community would be so extreme. Nobody who's a Home Secretary or PM wants it on their CV. It's far easier to appease it and manage it as best they can, and while the rest of us suffer. The secondary reaction, critiques like Tommy Robinson and Douglas Murray, and maybe people like myself and you, we are the people who who have to pay the price. Like Alison Pierce of the Telegraph, I too have had a visit from the police, and that was 6 months ago. That was May time. I was obliged to go into a police station and answer my F Islam tweet I sent out. It was F Palestine, F Hamas, F Islam. If you're a Muslim and you want to protest, go and live in a Muslim country. I think probably give that a very little chance of getting a conviction. This is all about intimidation of influential people in social media. It's not about right or wrong. It's all about shut up Dave, and shut up Tommy, shut up Douglas, and shut up Alison and
Lawrence Fox.
Yeah, exactly. It's intimidating. I must say it has worked to a certain extent. There's certain things I don't say anymore. There's certain things I backed off slightly, but no, I'm probably still firing on sort of 7 out of 8 cylinders on that, but I've tempered it slightly, I must say.
Sure. Well, your liberty's at stake to a certain degree. And those people who might not have had any dealings with the police, certainly to the stage of being interviewed, there is a thought out there in the legal community that they would have been pressurised into taking or into pleading guilty when they weren't guilty. They weren't even, they were denied the opportunity to test it before a jury or at the very least a magistrate.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think they were railroaded by the police. You know, somebody's probably in touch with, you know, via Twitter, by my DMs, via the working classes of Britain. You know, they're petrified of ever being identified. You know, someone sent me something about Weatherfield RAF base in near Braintree in Essex. Apparently, there's an outbreak of tuberculosis on site. You know, and the first world diseases and all that.
Legionnaire's disease on the Bibby Stockholm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then also apparently, you know, they go into town. Six to eight of them go into town. They go out thieving. They intimidate the locals in Braintree. You know, it's a horrible place to be. You know, and James Cleverly, local MP, you know, he probably does a bit of lip service to what's going on, but you know, personally, you know, if I was a local MP for Braintree, I would go into town on a Saturday morning. You know, on Saturday morning, go in the shopping centre and see it for myself. You know, and you know, he's an ex-foreign minister, ex-home secretary. You know, he's got a bit of clout with the police. You know, and what he should be saying is, right, you, and you. You know, I want you to go and arrest these people and sort them out, or else, you know, but you know, spineless politician, you know, absolutely flaming useless, you know, and you know, I really, you need to look at places like Bournemouth. You know, sort of town centres are sort of kind of a no-go area. Yeah. You know, and you know, a friend of my missus, she lives in Christchurch, just sort of next town along from Bournemouth, and I lost my vape at this shop in Bournemouth. I went to buy some, and anyway, I found it. I bought 3 actually, and I was lit. And where I parked my car was 25 yards from where the Afghan illegal asylum seeker killed Thomas Roberts.
Yes,
Langustin, whatever his name is, Abdul, what's his face? Absolute, piece of shit, yeah. And
12th of March, 12th March, 2 years ago, 2022.
Blimey, yeah. And someone said to me,
he was posing as a 14-year-old orphan. Turned out he was 19-year-old and he'd killed a couple of people.
Yeah, he killed two other asylum seekers in Serbia with a Kalashnikov.
And they refused. The Home Office refused to take the information as kosher.
I think what happened was he was never fingerprinted. It was never sent off to Interpol. He was fingerprinted in Norway. All they had to do was put his fingerprints into Interpol, and they would have found out he was a wanted terrorist in Serbia. You know, he was given 20 years in absentia.
That raises questions about Border Force and the Home Office's apathy towards checking anybody that comes in, even though he did have some alert around his name. Yeah,
sure indeed, yeah. You know, people say to me, you went there, Dave. That's a really dangerous part of town, you know. People were shocked that I went there. You know, this is Bournemouth. It's just full of rich, elderly, middle-class people. You know, if you look around the seafront, you know, there's sort of 3 4-bedroom apartments that overlook the seafront. You know, it's full of 70-year-old, 80-year-old grannies and grandfathers. You know, sort of, who get their Zimmer frames out and go and sit on the beach in the summer, that kind of thing. You know, the way that, you know, these illegal migrants have ruined and changing ruined town centres, ruined towns, ruining the feeling of safety. You know, it's absolutely disgusting. You know, and the point is, there's nothing you can do. You know, I know what I would do if I was in charge. It'd be a case of, hello, Mohammed. Hello, Abdul. Where's your passport? Oh, don't have one. Got any ID? No. Okay, fine. see the man over there. He's going to give you some handcuffs. You go into secure accommodation overnight, and we're deporting you tomorrow. That's the end of it. No, minimal cost, minimal inconvenience to the taxpayer.
Well,
you know,
enough people's lives can't be so bad that they are actually worried enough to go to the ballot box, Dave, because you just look at the turnout of the last election and you look at the apathy towards voting. I think people will really be regretting that now. I think our fellow Brits will be cursing themselves. Now, the Tories are absolutely awful, woeful. They're not Conservatives. You and I have been back and forth with that for over a year. Reform are making some ground.
Sure.
But they're very hesitant to commit to deportations of any number or any kind. Their chairman is himself a globalist. Forget the fact that he's a Muslim. He's a Goldman and Sachs hatchet man. He's all into the DEI, ESG diktats that he says he's not.
Sure.
But he was signed up member to that. He's made his money from all things like that, from the FCA, BlackRock, and all this.
Yeah, indeed. So, I'll tell you something off air about it as well.
Okay, please do. I like a little off air.
Well, I don't think Zia is as secure as he could be, should we say?
Well, none of them are, apart from Nigel.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, because Rupert Lowe has come out with a completely different view, echoing Donald Trump on mass deportations. Not just talking about the prisoners, but talking about those people that are here without any way to identify themselves. And the 39,000 characters that are on the MI5 watch list. For the love of God, what the hell are these people doing in the country? And it's the money that we're spending on those characters that want to kill us that have put our farms, according to Labour, at jeopardy. They shouldn't say the money's for the NHS. They should say, well, we need that money for the terrorists on the watch committee list.
Well, that makes it a little bit more of a persuasive argument, isn't it?
Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They need that money for those people that want to kill us. The 40,000 of them, 60,000.
I know. If you looked at all of Britain's problems, you listed them all. They're either directly migration related or indirectly migrant related. Like our GDP per capita is going down. That's purely because these people are,
on benefits.
Yeah, they're on benefits and they're not very well educated. They're not doctors. They're not engineers. They're not management consultants.
And they're working on the black market.
Yeah, I know. And they're sending their money abroad as well. So
child benefit for children that don't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mass fraud and that kind of thing. Housing crisis. That's down to immigration. Crime.
GP appointment times, waiting lists.
Yeah, NHS
shortages.
Yeah, I posted a video just before I come on actually, and it shows this accident and emergency waiting room. I don't know where it was, but apart from two white people, everybody else there was an immigrant. Basically, what happens is you can't get you come up, you don't speak English. You come to this country, you can't get a GP appointment. If you're ill or you need some treatment, you go to A&E because you will be seen. And you will be dealt with, So, they just ask you for your name, and that's it, and you get free treatment. And I've been told privately by a couple of doctors, this is the real reason that the NHS is in such a mess because it's so abused by foreigners.
Absolutely.
I just find it so angry that this goes on, and there's nothing we do about it.
Well, let's end on a positive note. Donald Trump. You and I don't think have spoken since Donald Trump became President of the United States, the 47th President of the United States.
Da, 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 da.
And you could hear the howls of indignation, the tears, the salty tears, as my friend David Vance and your friend says. The joy was unbridling. You had James O'Brien from LBC losing his shit. You had Bono from U2 saying he was going to drive off a cliff and commit suicide. He still hasn't done it yet.
Sure. Well, we like the car keys, mate.
They lost it. So Donald Trump in the White House, obviously at complete opposites with Keir Starmer. And there's no doubt about it. These two hate each other privately, publicly.
Sure.
They put on the Kabuki theatre.
And Sadiq Khan as well.
Oh, well, Sadiq Khan hates him. Lamy hates him. You know, I mean, let's get it right. Keir Starmer chose a foreign secretary after he had called Donald Trump a KKK Nazi sympathizer.
Sure. Yeah.
Keir Starmer went over to speak to Xi Jinping in Brazil to talk about an allegiance with him and try to set up trade with him in order that they can do business so China can give money to Russia to fight Ukrainians that we're allegedly supporting and sending $3 billion a year to. I mean, this is batshit crazy. Make sense of it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I
never asked you a question, sorry, but
yeah, no problem. I'm trying to piece all your pieces of information together, and all
right. The positive note, sorry.
On the positive note of Donald Trump, yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Will it have over Keir Starmer? Will it make any difference?
Okay. I think it will. But the thing about the Ukraine-Russia war is it was started by bloody the EU. Oh, come and join the EU and come and join NATO. Expansion. No, it was just ridiculous thing to suggest. That's what provoked the war. And the thing about the Ukraine-Russian war that's been going on now for 2 years is this really is a war for the 20th century. It's not a war of the 21st century. Our enemies, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, the Europeans need to unite against militant Islam and the Chinese. And it breaks my heart that that Europeans are still fighting each other like they were in the 20th century. And Donald Trump, I think, will be bashing heads together. I think when he became president in 2016, he was entirely unprepared. He hired people who didn't buy into his ways, and he was fighting them all the time, metaphorically speaking. And I think he will. I think the Ukraine war will be finished within 6 months of him assuming office. I think also as well. I think Hamas and Hezbollah are in deep trouble at the moment. Because I think it will be a case of that he wants to see Hamas destroyed, he wants to see Hezbollah destroyed, and also as well, I think he's probably going to go after Iran as well. I think Iran is deep in the doo-doo as well at the moment. I think the mad mullahs the Ayatollahs are on borrowed time at the moment. They are so hated and detested in their own country. And do you know something? I can see some bright lit sunny uplands. Now I think there will be honey for tea, because if we can sort out Russia and Ukraine, and most importantly the Middle East, if we have a regime change in Iran, Iranians. Actually, I was just thinking about this the other day. The Muslims who fit into this country 100% are Iranians. There are some bad, but so Iranians who live here, but the Iranians, Muslim heritage Iranians that came in after the fall of the Shah in 1979, like Maya Tusi and what have you.
Yeah, I was thinking of him. Yeah,
you do. Yeah,
he's embraced the UK and then some.
Yeah, no, yeah. I used to work in Finchley, and there was a group of Iranians that used to work in there, and they're all sort of
lovely,
and granddaughters. Quite nice, actually. Some of them actually lovely, come round and show us your peacock love. Anyway, that's for another day. And also the other thing as well is one quick anecdote on that one. They took me to the local Iranian bar, and this would have been about 10 years ago, and so 7 years after the smoking ban.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't very well observed, shall we say?
Yeah. God bless them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So no. So they are the Muslim heritage people who actually do fit into this country, and they're a shining example to everybody else.
Sure.
But if Iran does fall, and it becomes secular, because most Iranians are particularly well educated, hence they keep their disgust of the Islamic regime so high. I think as well, and also Hezbollah and Hamas are completely defeated. I think long term this will lead to an economic renaissance of the area. When all the guns have been put aside, using Israeli expertise and research and development, and when we use the UAE's finance and banking infrastructure for the Middle East, and if the Middle East becomes a more capitalist, peaceful area, people will not want to go back to war in a hurry. And also, hopefully, it will pave the way for the majority of Muslim countries in the Middle East to sign the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords is the normalization of relations with Israel. So I can see some bright sunlit uplands, and I definitely will be having honey for tea as well.
But obviously, Keir Starmer's going in a completely opposite direction. He's sidling up to China and the EU. And many people think he will all but take us back into the EU while America's economy booms. Obviously, when President Trump took in,
well, indeed, yeah.
crypto market boomed, currency markets boomed, futures boomed.
Sure.
They were back.
Yeah, sure.
But we're going down the tracks of the most weak performing sector in the world, the EU.
Yeah, sure, indeed, yeah. I absolutely agree with you. I think Starmer will cut off his nose to spite his face when it comes to a trade deal with America. I saw his son Eric being interviewed on GB News today, and he said, he loves Britain. He would love to do a trade deal with us, free trade deal with us, And Starmer will cut off his nose to bite his face. He will undermine Donald Trump at every single opportunity. Sure. How David Lammy's still in his job is completely beyond me. And like Rachel Reeves, how the hell do they hold on? Hold on to their positions. The top two positions in the UK government, and they're both useless. And Starmer's useless. He has to go. The whole Labour government has to go. They are a complete drag on Britain. And they will crash the economy sooner rather than later. I can see food riots. Possibly food riots in the future. I can certainly see civil unrest. The state of the economy in this country. As the burden of migration weighs more and more heavy.
Positive note, Dave. Positive note.
Oh, positive note. Okay, fine. Okay, but sorry.
Sorry, forget about that. It's not you're painting some solient green sort of ending to the film where we're seeing Charlton Heston taken away. Solient green as people. We need a nicer, brighter. Let's go back to those uplands.
Oh, okay, fine. I think with Donald Trump being president and a completely incompetent Labour government, I think in the future I think the Labour Party might even disappear and be replaced with a new centre-left party. I think that their performance will be that bad, so that's a positive
Could
thing.
See a split. Could see a split.
I know, absolutely, and I think Donald Trump, because he's got his ducks lined up so well, I think he will literally hit the ground running, and he'll have a year of positive legislature and decisions. And and also the fact there'll be no mercy in deporting the illegals from
Tom
America.
Holland looks like the man for the job. I don't know if you've seen the new border, Zach.
Oh yeah, real Tom, yeah. So he's this is he's a real kick-ass American, isn't he? So being positive about I think Donald Trump, well, it sounds a bit hyperbolic.
We need it.
But Donald Trump might save the world.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because he'll be he's leading it in all the right. He'll be leading the world with all the right talking points of the world.
Dave, one could argue that if President Trump hadn't won, then the response from Russia to the long-range missile attack would have been far more severe. he may well be just biding his time, as the military will be, because they know there's going to be a new commander-in-chief. Is that fair?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. By the way, did you see today that because Biden apparently Biden is because he's allowing Ukrainian missiles to be American missiles to be launched on Russian soil. Yeah. Today, Donald Trump took out impeachment on him for it.
Yes.
So he's going to be tied up in knots.
Article 25, isn't it? But Biden's already been assessed to be not fit for office. But then he's still that really means he's in no position to authorize any launch of any weapon whatsoever to any nation. And remember, these are the weapons that David Lammy, mastermind Henry VII Lammy, Keir Starmer begged for. Do you remember last month?
Absolutely,
begged for this to happen.
So good stuff,
great stuff.
I'm really positive about this.
Yeah, I think so too. We've got so much to look forward to. I will say, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already gone on to see the work being done by Dave Atherton, please do so. You can find him at Dave Atherton 20. You can support him in his battles for free speech. He has some ongoing issues that you can find the information on when you visit his Twitter site, and you can help him out in whatever way you can. If you got any spare dosh, if you're not a farmer or an OAP, then you could say, if you are an OAP, just drop him some money if you can to help him with his legal battles. And all that remains for us to say really is, Dave, thank you so much for coming on to Herd Immunity News again. We will definitely invite you on for our Christmas special, sir.
Christmas special. I love Christmas specials. Will we have Morecambe and Wise on as well?
Absolutely. We'll play parlour games. We'll do Morecambe and Wise, and we'll drink till we can drink no more, sir. How's that?
You say you're playing all the right videos, but not necessarily in the right order. So yeah. So thanks for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure, Marcus.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers.
All the best.